y'all. My reading goals are not realistic. So it's Kyoshi and I'm back for another reading video. I know it's a little late in April. I apologize. I have a lot going on, but I am here to let you guys know everything I read in March and everything I plan to try to read in April. So let's just get into the video. Okay, you guys, so let's just get into the video because I do not want it to be too long. I love talking about books, so we already know. So the first book I read is In Every Mirror She's Black. I actually read this, started in February, but I didn't finish it until March 4th. So I consider that a March wrap-up book. So basically this book revolves around three Black women who are linked to an unexpected way to the same influential white man in Stockholm. And his name is Johnny. And it sort of goes through their lives. It's not really revolving around it's linked to the white man, but it's not revolving around the white man, Johnny. It just tells the individual struggles as Black women in a foreign land, which in this case, I think they're in Sweden. Yes, they're in Sweden, which in this book says is a very racist country, the way that the book reads. I've never been to Sweden, so I can't say before. I gave the book 4 stars because I love the women's story as an individual story, but I just don't know how it wrapped around Johnny. Like, it just didn't make sense to me. But that's just my opinion. But I gave it 4 stars because I love reading about the women, what they struggled in with life, how they were feeling, and I thought she really did a good job of explaining their lives and what was going on in their lives. So I say read this at your own, sake, because you may or may not like it. So I gave it 4 stars. Then the next book I read is I'm Not Who You Think I Am. This book was recommended to me by Alicia. I'm not going to go through the synopsis because I don't want the video to be too long, but if you want to know the synopsis, you can either look it up or go to my my February wrap up in March reads, because I read the synopsis in those, or you can follow me on my Goodreads. You can see what I'm reading and it will give you the synopsis. So basically, to break it down, it's about this guy named Waylon Maynard. At 8-year-old, he sees his father shoot himself with a shotgun, and he goes through life thinking that his father is dead and everybody's hiding secrets, and unbeknownst to him, they actually are. I gave this book 5 stars, you guys. I had no idea what was going on. It was very suspenseful. It was written very, very well. I thoroughly enjoyed this book, so I highly recommend that you read this one if you love like thrillers and mystery, because y'all know that's my favorite. That's my jam. So if you like thrillers, mysteries, and stuff, I suggest you read I'm Not Who You Think I Am, because it was such a good read, and the ending was shocking, to say the least. It was very shocking. Okay, and then the next book I read was called The Other Miss. This was another thriller. It's about this woman who moves to a small town in Maine with her husband, and then one of their neighbors get murdered, and from there it goes on to like, we have a serial killer on this island. Now, one thing they do, they live on this island, and the only way to get to the island is from a ferry, and it's like a bad storm, and no ferry can't get in, and this lady has gotten murdered, and it's just, I'm telling y'all, it is so good. I did not understand, probably about a couple chapters before the end, I was like, that's what's going on. And y'all know I love murder mysteries all the time, and when I'm impressed and when I am shocked by the ending and surprised. But I also go into a book not trying to figure out the ending. If you're that person, you might could figure it out, but I don't go into a book trying to figure out the ending. I just try to enjoy it for what it's worth and read it as I go. And when I tell you this one was good, it was so good. I loved it. So gave it 5 stars for sure. So it is The Other Miss. Read it, y'all. Read it. I'm telling you, read it. And then the next book I read was Mr. Penumbra's 24-Hour Bookstore, which you guys know I am in a book club called Once Upon a Wine, and this was our book club book pick of the month for March. And it's basically about this guy who runs a bookstore, but also within that bookstore is a secret society that is trying to solve the riddle of life, basically. I gave it 4 stars. I think it had me thinking one thing when it was actually another thing, and it kind of tricks you a little bit in thinking what the story is about. And so when it got to the end, I was very just left wanting more after they got finished with what was going on. I don't want to give too much away. and found out what's going on and all that, they just stopped there. They literally gave you nothing else. And I was like, what the hell? Where's the rest of the book? Where's the book at? What had happened? So that's why I gave it 4 stars. Y'all already know how I feel about endings of books. Don't do it to me. Don't give me no trash ending, okay? Don't do it. So I gave it 4 stars. It was really a good read. Then the next book I read was White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. You guys know I loved her book, Monday's Not Coming. I also read Allegedly. And this is the 3rd book I've read by her called White Smoke. And it basically follows this young girl who moves to another town from their California beach town to a Midwestern city. And it talks about the haunting of her house. So it talks about, so this is very, like, if you don't like scary books, if you don't like suspense books that'll have you jumping and looking around at night. I was born on Halloween, so I have no problem watching scary anything, okay? I love scary everything. But this one had me a little spooked. This one had me a little spooked. I was like, I might have to put this down a little bit. But I'm telling you guys, it is so worth it in the end. I did not have a clue what was going on. Sis was getting haunted, baby. She was haunted. Do you hear me? I mean, haunted like this could be a movie that will scare the shit out of you, okay? just to break it down for you. I did give it 4 stars because I feel like the ending was okay. They could have did a little bit better, but I really thought it was a really good story about this neighborhood and what was going on, and I really, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Not better than Monday's Not Coming. I haven't read anything of hers that has been better than Monday's Not Coming, but these are close seconds, you know. This one's I like better than Allegedly, so I Allegedly would drop down to my 3rd choice. So I would read Monday's Not Coming, this one, White Smoke, and then Allegedly. But I've only read 3 of her books, so I can't vouch for any of the other one. But this one was really, really good. I gave it 4 stars. And then your girl read Beartown. Yes, Beartown was so good, you guys. If you are ready for an emotional roller coaster, let me just tell you something. This is the book for you. This will have you heart stopping. It will have you mad, angry, sad, crying, all of those things. And the plus side is I found out HBO Max has made this into a series. Yes, your girl has already binge watched it. And it's everything that I needed it to be. It was so good. The actual show was very good. So you guys know I watched the show for anxious people. It didn't really do justice to the book. The book was better. I watched A Man Called Ovi. The movie from also Fredrik Backman, it dictated the book very well. I want to say that's the word, but I don't think that's the word. Anyway, it did the book justice, and the movie was really good. And then Beartown did the book justice. And so, you know, there is a sequel. So this was series 1 of Beartown that I watched on HBO Max. But Beartown was so good. I just recommend Fredrik Backman's books. Anyway, he is a Swedish author, and when I tell you he knows how to write, he knows how to write. He knows how to write to just pull all of your heartstrings, your angry strings, your sad strings, your revenge. Like, he be wanting you to get revenge on people. Like, I can't even explain how he even knows how to write like this. When I say he is a gifted writer, he is a gifted writer, and he up there, baby. He up there on my list. Y'all know I have like 3 or 4 authors. He has definitely been added to the top of the list because he is amazing, and I just love everything that he's writing. I have not read a book of his that I have not liked at all. So yes, Beartown, 5 stars. Superb. Okay, so those are all the books that I read in the month of March, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books. Did pretty good in March reading 6 books. So all right, you guys, so let's talk about the books that I read in April. It is April the 16th. If I've only finished 1 book this month. I'm actually 4 books ahead in my reading goal for the year, but I would like to keep that lead going. So I'm kind of disappointed about that I'm only read 1 book in the month of April, but not so much because work has been really, really hectic. There's a lot going on. I'm on this project, and it's very demanding at the moment, and so I don't have the energy at the end of the day to read a book. It's just basically my head hurts. I have a headache. People have gotten on my nerves, and so my reading this month has very much suffered because of that. And I mean, it is what it is. I read 1 book last week. I guess it's only 4 weeks. I guess I'm on my 2nd book now, so maybe I'm not too far behind, but I'm usually 2 books in at the least about this time of the month and reading my 3rd book. But it is what it is. So we're just gonna get into it. We're just gonna have a not so good reading month this month, and we're just gonna deal with it. You guys, I had to change the lighting a little bit so that you guys can see the books. So I am going to tell you guys what I plan on reading in the month of April. So far I have read one book and I'm almost finished with the second book. It's actually April the 16th, but I am right on track because that's a book a week to meet my goal of 52 books this year. But I'm a little behind because most likely I will read about 2 books a week. If not, I think I should at least be on my 3rd book by now, but I'm not. I'm still trying to wrap up my 2nd book, but I'm this close to finishing my 2nd book, so it is what it is. So the first book I read in April was a manga, and I was thinking it would be a lighthearted, something very light to read after reading Beartown, because like I said, Beartown was like an emotional wreck for me, but it was a good emotional wreck. It was a really, really good book. So the first book I thought that would lighten up the mood was In This Corner of the World, but was I mistaken? This book is actually, let's see if I can get the glare off it. This book is actually about World War II, and it talks about a little town called Kure, which is I can't remember, hundreds of miles away from Hiroshima. So it basically talks about what happened in Hiroshima and how the people in this town were the actual like base of it. So they had like the VA hospital, all of the bases, all of the captains and the ships and everything at this little town called Kure. And it talks about this young woman who is in arranged marriage, and she goes off to live with her husband who is in the army, or whatever they call their army over there. And it's not as lighthearted as I thought it would be. It's actually about the other side. So the, I guess the enemy's side of World War II and all that they suffer and they went to in this little town during World War II. And it is not as lighthearted as I thought it was, but it was so good. It was very interesting to learn about the other side and their culture and the things that they had to do. Like in this book, little children are building bomb shelters. They're learning to grow their own food. They're creating emergency packs, and they're getting instructions like if a bomb falls on your house, what to do. Always have so much water available so you can put a fire out. Like, it's just crazy how they had to grow up and be adults before their time, and the same thing here. So it just gives you a very good look on the other side of what happened with World War II. I thought it was a love story, child, and I was sadly mistaken. Okay, but it wasn't like, because it's a manga, it's not that hard, it's not that in-depth. And I love how that in the margins, you guys can't see, but in the margins, like if there's any song they're singing or something represents their culture and you might not understand it, it kind of gives you a little background in the margins. It gives you like pictures of how they had to do their, like the little flyers they got when it was telling them how to, you know, scavenge for food, how to make a safety pack, what should you include in the safety pack, how to put out a bomb and the difference between the bombs and all that kind of stuff. So it was really, really crazy. But it was really, really good. And I gave it 4 stars because the language barrier. So whoever interpreted this book, I believe it's the person who, she wrote the story and the art, but I don't think she interpreted it. It didn't say, I didn't look. Some of the verbiage was a little out of whack. It didn't make sense in English, so I got lost a lot. So that's why I gave it 4 stars, but it was still a really, really good story, a very good manga. Unfortunately, it wasn't lighthearted as I thought it would be, but I still enjoyed it nonetheless. Okay, and then the second book I'm reading this month, of course, is Fredrik Backman's Us Against Them, the second book to Beartown, or the sequel to Beartown. I've just found out it's a trilogy, and the third one is coming out sometime this year, I believe. And I am almost finished, you guys. I am on chapter 40, I believe. I'm on chapter 40, and there's 49 chapters, and this is how much I have left. So I should be able to finish this up this weekend and start a new book. So basically, this is the sequel to Beartown, and it goes on the continuation of the story of what happened in Beartown and the aftermath. And another person is exposed, more shocking things are happening, more betrayals are going on, and this one is just as emotional as the original Beartown, and it has me all up in my feelings, ready to get revenge, ready to fight, ready to give people hugs. I'm over here tearing up, okay, because I'm a thug. I don't cry too much, but I cry a little bit. But it's so good, you guys, and I just love his writing. He's such a great writer. He at the top of my list now, baby. He all the way up there. He don't made it to the top with these books. Let me tell you something. He be having you wrecked, baby. He be having you wrecked, and I love it. So I'm almost finished, and I can't wait to read the third one. I'm sure this was going to end where I'm like, I need the third one now, and of course it's not out yet. Okay, so the next book I'm going to be reading is Laine Moriarty's The Apples Never Fall. And this book is basically about, if a mother was missing, would you call the police, even if the most obvious suspect was your father? This is the dilemma facing the four Delaney siblings. And basically, that is what it's about. I haven't read the whole synopsis. I hope to start this book tomorrow or either Monday, because this is our book club book read of the month. You guys know I'm in a book club called Once Upon a Wine, and every month they give us a book to read. So this is our book. I have read one of her favorite books of mine is The Husband's Secret, and then What Alice Forgot, and then you guys she wrote Big Little Lies, which became a TV series or a movie or something like that, and it was really good. I never did read Nine Perfect Strangers. I know that eventually turned into a series or a book too. I don't like all of her books. Some of them are good, so I'm hoping this one is good as well, but we shall see, because I haven't started reading it yet. Okay, and then the next book I want to read is by one of my favorite authors of all time. You guys know James Patterson is my favorite author. I love the Alex Cross series, and I have been following for years. I don't even know what number book this is. It has to be up in the 30s. Maybe 31, something like that. I wish they would tell us what book it is on there. So this will be the next book I'm reading, and it basically says they're not on a job but on a personal mission until they're attacked by two rival teams of assassins controlled by the same mastermind who has stalked Alex Cross and his family for years. Darkness falls, the river churns into rapids, shots ring out through the forest. No backup, no way out, fear no evil. That sounds so good. I love all of Alex Cross books. They never disappoint. And James Patterson, know he can write a series. Okay, so the next book I'm going to read, and some of these books, like I said, I've already talked about because they were in my March TBR, and I just didn't make them to them in March. So the next book is called The Spite Game, and it's about this girl who was bullied in high school, and she is getting revenge on the three women who bullied her in high school. And so she did extract revenge on two of the girls, but the third girl is kind of a little bit smarter than the other two, and she's kind of figured out what's going on. And so it's gonna be like a cat and mouse game of who can I get first, I guess, or who done it first, or who gonna get who first. And it sounds very interesting. As you can see, it's not that thick of a book. Most of my books are super thick, but this was not this big, so hopefully it'll be a quick read. The font is a little small, but yeah, it's still 300 pages, so maybe not. But anyway, so this sounds like a very good read. So this is what I plan on reading also. And then the next three books, I think you've already seen. So the next book is Home Before Dark. And it's also about this woman whose family is known for things like the Amityville Horror. So her and her family lived in this house for about a month. And their father swore the house was haunted, and they moved out. So she comes back years later. I think after her parents die, she inherits the house, and she wants to go back to the house and debunk everything that was written in that book that kind of shamed her family. And she wants to see if it really is as real as she thinks it is. So another probably scary book like White Smoke. So if you don't like scary books, don't pick it up. The next book is called A Local Woman Missing, and it's about this woman who went missing. Not long after that, Mary Dick and her 6-year-old daughter go missing, and then Delilah vanished just blocks away from where Shelby was last seen. Fear, their one peaceful community, are their incidents connected? Our exclusive search for the yield more questions than answers. The case eventually goes cold. Now 11 years later, Delilah shockingly returns. Everyone wants to know what happened to her, but no one is prepared what they will tell her. So this is another Mary Kuba book. You know, she wrote The Other Miss, I believe is what the other one, and that was really good, so that's why I picked this up. So hopefully this is just as good as that one. And the last book I'm gonna try to get to, which I'm probably not gonna get to these books, y'all. We 2 weeks into April, but I'm very hopeful. We shall see. It is Rock, Paper, Scissors. It looks like this. This is one that I just picked up on a whim. I was in the library perusing as usual, and I picked it up and it sounded good, so I picked it up. Things have been wrong with Mr. and Mrs. Wright for a long time. When Adam and Amelia went a weekend away to Scotland, it might be just what their marriage needs. Adam has lived with face blindness his whole life. He can't recognize friends or family or even his own wife. Every anniversary, the couple exchanges gifts, and each year Adam's wife writes her a letter. She never lets him read until now. They both know this marriage will make or break their marriage. No, they both know this weekend will make or break their marriage, but they don't randomly win the trip. One of them is lying, and someone doesn't want them to live happily ever after. 10 years after the marriage, 10 years of secrets, and an anniversary they'll never forget. Okay, you guys, so those are all the books that I'm trying to read in the month of April. I know they are carried over from March, and I didn't really give you any new books, so I need you guys' help. If I don't finish these books by the end of this month, do I need to return them all to the library and just get a whole new TBR? I really want to read them, but I know you guys like my videos for new suggestions, and you don't want to see me carry over the same books over and over again. If they were my books, I would put them back on the shelf and be able to, you know, go back to them later, but they're not mine. I have to return them to the library, but I can write them down on a list knowing that I want to read them and bring them back any month if they're available at the library. So let me know below in the comments what you guys think I should do. If I don't finish these books by the end of the month, do I just need to return them all and start with a new fresh set TBR for the month of May and be a little bit more realistic and have not my eyes are bigger than what I can read, for instance. So maybe I should only limit myself to have 5 books in the month, and I can only get new books if I finish those 5 before the month over. So let me know what you guys think about that plan, because I feel like my eyes are bigger than I can read, and I'm just grabbing all the books because they sound all good and I can't possibly finish them all. So let me know what you think below. But if you guys enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any more videos from me, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.